sutam devam kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Bhishma Drona Tata Jayadratha Jala Gandhara Nilotpala Shalya Grahavati Kripena Vahani Karnena Velakula Ashvatthama Vikarna Ghora Makara Duryodhana Vartini Sotirna Kalupanda Vairananadi Kaivataka Keshava Parasharya Vachassaroja Mamalam Gita Jagandotkatam Nana Hirana Kesharam Harikatha Sambodhana Bodhisham Loke Satchana Shatpatairaha Pepiyamanam Muda Bhuya Bharata Pankajam Kalimala Pradvam Sinashreyase Mukam Garoti Vachalam Pangum Lankayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunranti Divyai Savai Vedai Sangapada Kramo Panishadai Gayantiyam Samada Dhyanavasthita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyantiyam Yoginaha Yasyantanna Vidusuja Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Vedaihi Sanga Padakramopanishadaihi. That aihi, that has to be pronounced. Vedai, that one goes and joins the sa, so the sa becomes double. Vedai Sanga, see, you don't say Vedai Sanga. Vedai Sanga Padakramopanishadaihi. That you have to pronounce. Otherwise it will sound Vedai Sanga Padakramopanishadaihi. That is where the he should come. Yeah. What about she? She has to say he. That's all. Yeah. Dhyanavasthita tadgatena manasa pashyanti yam yogi naha. All that he's and hers are important. Those dots, we can't take them for granted. Dots matter. Come here. Why so far? Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhanaktu saha viryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The lament of Arjuna continues. And what is he lamenting about? Yeah, he's lamenting about why did I sign up for the war? What was I thinking? I was having a good time, even in the forest. There was a lot of live entertainment. Yes. So many bugs and mugs I got to meet. And now, because of these people, he's feeling victimized. It's very clear. First he has this dry mouth panic attack. And then part of the panic attack is feeling very sorry for oneself. And having also, what all do we see? We see the signs of jivatvam. Always scared. You see, he has a panic attack. Then you see the sign of victimization, feeling sorry for oneself. Why did I get into this situation? And then self-loathe. I don't like myself right now. And then you also see being burdened by guilt, which we are going to come to that. All the papas, what are papas? Bad karma. All the bad karmas are going to come to me only. This is what it is. So these are all the signs of feeling insecure, feeling a lack centered on the self. I told you yesterday, this is why we love Arjuna, because he demonstrates through show and tell, what one's everyday life is like. So first, really speaking, he cannot, without addressing the inner battle, he cannot really address what is happening outside. Because the outside and inside, as outside as within, right? As without as within, same thing. It's the same rules. And so, really speaking, he sees the connection. That's why he goes into this rant. He sees the connection. Two armies, his and the non-his, but really the non-his is also his. In a strange way, it's mirroring his inner situation. Inside also two armies, both of them are he alone. One side is saying, don't fight, this is crazy. And the other side is saying, biff them, you need to do that. So he's, and then he's very conflicted. So his inner conflict about what is the correct thing to do. Because otherwise, if he was really convinced that he shouldn't fight, he should say, I'm sorry I asked you to be the chauffeur. I think I'm out of here. He could have run. Krishna hadn't tied him up to the chariot. He was not in a straitjacket, right? He could have got up and run, but he doesn't. He has some feeling that maybe this is not the right thing. That's the conflict. It's a dharma sankata, and he's in a tough situation. And that's why we love him, because he illustrates what it is like in the, every day when there is two kinds of things you have to balance. You have to balance the needs of, different situations. One is ethically right, and the other is, in certain other ways not right. And so, subjectively wrong, ethically right. So many, problems are there. And so therefore, this is a very difficult situation for him. And so illustrating this further, 37 we stopped yesterday? Yeah, so then up till 37, it was all about a swajanam, you see, a refrain. Swajanam, swabandhum, swabandhavan on 37, and then, the whole refrain is not about killing a swajana. Swajana means our own people. Who are those people? Acharyaha, pitaraha, putraha, sambandhinas tatha, matulaha, shashuraha, pautraha, shyalaha, cousins, uncles, aunts, all these things. That was the who are these Swajanams? Who are these Swajanas? The Swajanas are unpacked in 34. They are unpacked and talked about who these Swajanas are, because otherwise this word Swajana is, this compound is what? Who are these people? My own people means who are these people? That is nicely unpacked here in 34. And then his logic starts in 33, that why, 32 and 33, why do I not want this war? Because I no longer want kingdom. I no longer want victory, therefore I don't want kingdom, therefore I do not want enjoyment, therefore I do not even want to live. You see, he is borderline suicidal here, and that's going to be shown later even as a full-blown suicidal, feeling, and he's very depressed, and so he's having what is called jihasa vairagya, the funeral ground, in this case battleground vairagya, because if he were taken back to the palace or wherever he was living at that time, he would feel good again. Yeah, this is what it is. Suddenly I don't feel very good. Why? Because I don't like the situation I'm in. Yeah, so it's like this fight or flight scenario which gives a certain kind of a vairagya. And what is this vairagya? It's a temporary vairagya. As soon as one is taken out of the funeral ground, one starts to want to eat and drink again. As long as one is in that situation, you don't feel like eating anything. You see some horrible accident on the road, and then you just feel, what is this life all about? Everything is so short, the people who died were so young, and what am I doing? I don't want to live. And then what? How come there is no salt in my food? Vairagya goes. And so this is what is called Jihasa Vairagya. But even this Vairagya, which the Arjuna brand of Jihasa Vairagya, which we see him having here, under the hands of a good teacher like Krishna, it can become a real Vairagya. Because of the Shraddha, it can become a real Vairagya. Because if you wait for real Vairagya to come, when will it come? Nahi aayega. Very rarely it will come. Yeah. Maybe after several more lifetimes it will come. So, you can't keep on waiting for that vairagya. You have to cultivate it. And in the process of cultivating, there are certain things you can help yourself, If you help yourself with the knowledge and expose yourself to the teaching, then what happens is that the vairagya automatically comes along with the knowledge. Yeah, the more you know, the more you drop, the more things drop. This is kind of paradoxical, because what do you need to know? You need to have the vairagya in order to gain the knowledge. You can't gain the knowledge until vairagya comes, and until you gain the knowledge, vairagya doesn't come. This is a catch, Yeah, this is a very interesting catch. So, but here this vairagya is certainly not out of some great viveka and vairagya operating together and saying, what, all this is nonsense, and I'm not going to do this. In the what is it called, in the South Indian wedding ritual, there is a part of there is a rite called Kashi Yatra. And what is this Kashi Yatra? The groom to be, just as he is being led into the marriage hall, says, I have changed my mind. I'm not going to marry your daughter. Tells the in-laws, please forgive me. I have changed my mind. And he sets off in the northerly direction, because if your wedding is in Rameshwaram, how are you? You just head towards Kashi. Where is Kashi? North. So if you are in Kashi, where will you head? Upwards. No. If you are in Kashi, you can go anywhere. So, but I suppose people who are getting married in Kashi will call it Rameshwara Yatra. Then you head south. But north generally is the sign for moksha. North is the direction for moksha. So then the groom to be, he is secretly hoping that nobody will take him seriously and say, okay, bhai, go. In fact, we were also having second thoughts after seeing you pick your teeth after the last meal and burp loudly in front of all the guests. We also were really having, but now that we were too polite to say, call off the wedding because we wanted to keep our word and we didn't want our daughter to get disappointed in case she has developed some feelings for this unworthy you. But now that it has come out of your mouth, here, please go. Here is your ticket. So he hopes that nobody will do that. It's just a rite. It's a ritual. It's a ritual within the larger wedding ritual. All these things they did, it's very, very meaningful. And here what does he do? He takes 11 steps towards the northern direction. And then the relatives of the girl's side, the uncle, aunt, father-in-law, mother-in-law, all of them, they go after him and bribe him with presents. They give him an umbrella, they give him a coconut with a velvet jacket on it, kind of looks like that, and then they give him a fan in case he's hot, a hand fan. They give him, in modern days, they give him a new wristwatch because who wants fan these days? They want to have fans, but they don't want the hand fan. And then, and then they give him, food, laddus, they feed him, and then they garland him, and then they say, it's not that you shouldn't. See, the idea is that don't change your mind. It's not that, you shouldn't go to Kashi. Kashi means moksha. Kashi is the pursuit of renunciation and knowledge. Renunciation is for the sake of knowledge. It's not so that you torture yourself and your relatives and go and sit in the Himalayas. That's not what it is for. It's for the sake of this knowledge. I give up everything. Give up means have an objective relationship with everything. So when he is brought back, he is told clearly by the mother-in-law, and the mother-in-law feeds him some kheer, and then, some sweet things, and she talks to him, and the father-in-law talks to him, and they don't say don't go. They say, please go, but know that the journey is arduous and very difficult to attain this spiritual life alone. So please accept a companion in the form of our daughter to keep you company so that both of you can fulfill your spiritual aspirations, by going together. Of course, marriage is for the sake of going to Kashi together. That's the whole idea. Yeah. It's a wrong thing to think that he is being dissuaded from going to Kashi. He's not being dissuaded. He is just being given extra bag and baggage. Some excess baggage he has to take. Actually in the form of companionship, So, see, there is nothing wrong with marriage. But the marriage is not an end in itself. That's the problem in this country or in a number of Western countries. Marriage becomes the end. It is something that has to be kept up all the time and, produced and reproduced. And, for us, marriage is a means. Kashi is the end. Kashi means what Kashi signifies. Kashi is not the place. That's why if you go and sit there, nothing happens. Even death doesn't come. So that's not the point. Kashi signifies knowledge. Yeah. And Kashi signifies north, which is freedom from samsara. That's all it is. So all companionship for the sake of this, attaining this end alone, and that out is possible. What is that? Way out. Kashi Yatra is possible in marriage ritual. But not in battle. There is no Kashi Yatra. Imagine the soldier is there with all this, fully armored, and then he clunks away and says, I'm going towards the north. What a ridiculous proposition. In the marriage it is fine, because here the person is toying with two commitments, thinking that both the commitments are separate. But he is told, actually you only have one commitment. This just two lifestyles of attaining this one commitment. Marriage is not a commitment. It is that helps you to commit more strongly to your original purushartha of moksha. So here the fellow who is not wise and thinking that how is he going to manage two commitments, thinking that moksha and wife are one and the same, moksha and spouse, how can they be one and the same? Yeah, one is the means, the other is the end. If you have a spouse, definitely you will get moksha. So he is told that. But here there is no such ritual in before the battlefield. Yeah, that you can go to Kashi right now, and your other, the infantry and the foot soldiers and the other kings, the leaders of the Akshauhinis will bring you back and then give you, the women will give you kheer and then you will fight again. No, this is not at that level at all. Here the confusion has to be resolved oneself. And in fact, there is a way out, but Arjuna had crossed that point. I told you that one of the rules of the warfare, if anybody wants to defect, go from this side to that side, go now. This was before the drum beat and the kettle drums and the pipes and the conch shells. Remember I told you? Yeah, there were some rules of engagement. If a woman walks into the battlefield, everybody should stop fighting. And they should never raise their arms bow at the woman. That's how Bhishma was killed. They sent a woman, this woman who had been raised as a man, another sister/brother, Draupadi, and because there was a prophecy that later on she will become a man. And so the father said, why wait? Let us raise her as a boy. So they cut the hair and got her married also. And on the wedding night, the story goes, the wife came screaming and running out. So she said, oh my God, what have you done? So anyway, so this is the whole thing. And then that is, otherwise Bhishma is not going to lower his arm, his bow for anybody. And Bhishma, when he discharges an arrow, it's not like throwing flowers or it's not like that. It never misses. And so like this, all these rules of warfare were there. If women come into the battlefield, nobody is going to fight. If two people are locked into a duel, nobody will go gang up on them. They will let them be. And if the chariot sinks in the mud, this is what happens to Karna. Then there were certain rules, and if you get out, if you are toppled from the chariot, there are certain rules. And in night, nobody will fight. Certain rules. And one more rule: if anybody wants to get out now. At that time, Arjuna could have got out. He said no. Onward, he was beating his chest harder than Tarzan, and And then if anybody wants to go to the other side, go to the other side. No, he didn't do anything. So past that point, this is the problem here, because he's having second thoughts, because he's confused about what is dharma. And dharma, is very clear usually. Dharma is extremely clear. Who I am, what is correct to do, what is not correct to do is generally very clear. When does it become unclear? When raga dveshas overpower. And here what kind of raga dveshas overpower? My own people. The delusional love. We are not questioning the love. The delusional love, that codependent love has spoilt his judgment. And that is what we saw till verse 37. Further, new argument now. And what is that new argument? Is that, we shouldn't kill them even though they are ready to kill us. Why? If they are ready to kill us, why shouldn't we kill them? Because they don't know any better. But we know better, correct? This is the argument. I think the next 2 or 3 verses will unfold that. Yadyapete na pashyanti lobhopahata chetasaha kulakshaya kritam dosham mitradrohe cha patakam kathan na jneyam asmabhihi papadasman nivartitum kulakshaya kritam dosham prapashyadbhirjanardana. Yeah. So these 2 verses, because he's already upstaging Krishna, because he's trying to think what will Krishna say in response. It would be nice if he had given Krishna a chance to say some of these things. But he's so agitated, like a teenager saying, I know why you're not going to let me go to the movies. You think I've not done my homework, but you see the homework takes 5 minutes, at least for me. And I can do it anytime. And I know what you're going to say. I know you're going to say that no homework can be done in 5 minutes. But that's true. But then I have already done most of the homework. I just have to look it over. You see, they're already anticipating what you're going to say. And this is what Arjuna is doing, because he's so agitated that Krishna will not go for this. So he's trying to cover all his bases. Because he's come to this whole thing about not to kill my own people, he has mounted this wonderful argument. And anybody logical would say, all right, we like that you have this argument. But he can also think like that. Who? Who is he?
Krishna.
No, Krishna is not fighting. Yeah, who?
The Kaurava.
Duryodhana. Duryodhana also should think like this. He is not ready to give you, one room in a village, one room in a house, much less a village or a principality to govern. He brought on this war, and you know very well he did that. He should also think like this. He should also think that you are his swajana. This is a one-way relationship. You are considering him your swajana, but he is not considering you his swajana. Is he now? No. Because he is ready. He was already ready. In fact, he also didn't want the war. Only because he thought he could make off with you. He could just abduct you and then kill you, and why spend on the war? Because all I need to do is just kill all of you to get the kingdom. He was ready by any means necessary. Okay, somehow you survived all his murder attempts. Bhima survived the poison attempt. You all survived that house of wax arson attempt. And then you survived the forest. Forest doesn't mean going on some camp. Yeah, camping. No, by a mountainside and listening to the babbling brook and the chirpy birds. No, that's not what it is. This is a canned experience. Nowadays, what people go to the redwoods, this is not like this. Wilderness means that you had all kinds of things, from boars to lions, and it was certainly not a boar. Yeah, this was a big deal. That's why they would send them off, hoping that they would never come back. Yeah. But then they came back. And then there was one year of incognito clause. That also they finished. They escaped the clause in the woods, and they escaped the clause, that 1 year clause. Also they escaped. Everything they escaped. And then what? And here they are standing. That's why the war had to happen. In fact, Duryodhana didn't want the war in his own way, because he just wanted to make short shrift of them, and he was a direct person, and he just voiced no love for them, and and he really was wanting to kill them immediately, by any means necessary. But then at no time did he accord them the courtesy of, even the gentlemanly courtesy of thinking that they belong to the same family. There was no swajanatvam there. No. And so Arjuna thinks that Krishna is going to mount this argument. So he is saying this even without the argument. So that's why we have to look into what is in the psychological makeup of Arjuna right now. Why is he saying this? He is saying this thinking or anticipating that Krishna is going to say that, look, you have a dysfunctional relationship with this fellow. You are getting bashed up and you are protecting him. For what? Then if it is this, so much of a love, if you are exchanging valentines with Duryodhana, then it should be two-way. What is this kind of sick, unrequited love? You keep getting biffed and beaten up and almost killed, and then you keep making excuses for him. This is not a very healthy place to be. But still, he is under the grip of this. So he gives another retaliation to this particular line of thinking, which he thinks, which is not given here, but he thinks that Arjuna is having this line of Krishna is having this line of thinking. So he says, Yadyapi, although, etena pashyanti, these people don't see. Ete means these people do not see. Kim na pashyanti, kulakshaya kritam dosham na pashyanti. They don't see this fallacy of destroying the entire clan. Kulakshaya kritam. Kulakshaya means the destruction of the clan. Kritam, that they are the actors, they are the agents. They don't see the fallacy in being the agents of clan, the destruction of their own clan's people. And they also don't see one more thing, that this is a pataka, pat to fall. Pataka, that which causes one to fall. What causes one to fall? A trap. What is the trap here? Papa. Yeah, Papa is called Pataka here. This is a Papa. What is a Papa? Kulakshaya kritam dosham is Patakam. Yeah. Why is it a Patakam? Because it is Mitra Droham. Druh, to betray. Mitra, the one you consider your friend. Mitra includes here Bandhavas, relatives. So it's a big papa to betray a friend, or someone who, friend means someone who trusts you. Somebody trusts you to give the correct directions, and then you give them the wrong direction and send them on some, down a one-way street going the wrong way. Knowingly, not unknowingly. Unknowingly in India everybody gives directions. That's because they cannot bear to say no, I don't know. That's been seen as inhospitable, because who will ask for direction? Somebody from another place. So you want to be a good host. It's not out of trying some kind of malice, because they don't even know you. How will they have malice? So they say, keep going straight. Where? Just keep going straight. And then you ask them. And then what do you ask? You ask how to go. You'll meet one panwala shop. Okay, pawn shop, some little kiosk, selling addictive things. So you go there and then you ask how to go. And then so that, this happened to me. And then I went there, and then, this was trying to find one old mutt in the middle of Madhya Pradesh. Yeah. For Acharya Sabha. Yeah, an old, and where it was, nobody knew. Everybody said, yeah, we've heard of it, we've seen it. Where? Keep going. And it's just hot, the road was so hot that the tar was like chewing gum, it was melting. In the hot land of the country. Keep going. And then, and you start seeing mirages because the sun is so bright, and you see all kinds of formations on the road, and smoke is coming from the road, from the asphalt. And then, and then I looked, and far away I saw one tin shed, very far. I mean, it was like a pinprick. And I had to do anumanam that it was a tin shed. I had to do quick time inference. And then said, keep going. And then ask in that pawn shop. So then I walked a long ways to get to this place. And then that person said, you do one thing, you go that way, back the way I had came. And about, 2 miles, 3 miles, you will meet a pawn shop, that first pawn shop. And then you ask there. This is what it is. But then I knew that they don't want to say no because they are hospitable. Yeah. And they feel like a guest is asking, so how can we refuse? So they become helpful in a wrong way. So this is not a pataka. But this is not mitra droha either. It's just some confusion, some befuddlement in the head. So, but this is unknowingly you do something. This is not a wrong thing. But knowingly you lead someone on the path of disaster. Go here, you will find lot of money. And then, or you invest here. But it's some kind of hedgy fund, and you make them invest. And then what? You benefit from their investment and they lose all their money. Yeah. This is what is called mitra droha. And so, kulakshaya kritam dosham. So, and 2 kinds of patakas. Kulakshaya kritam dosham, that which reduces the clan, which destroys the clan, and also which destroys any trust. Both are what? Very bad. Etena pashyanti. These people don't see. Yadyapi. Although they don't see. The question is, why do they not see? Lobha apahata chetasaha tasmat. Lobha means what? Greed. Apahata means abducted, kidnapped. Chetasaha, whose thinking, whose hearts. Why don't they see that this is a problem? Why don't they see that betraying a relative and a friend is a problem? And why don't they see that, this waging war against your own clan's people is a problem? Why don't they see that? Because their hearts or their powers of thinking, chetasa here, chetasa has to be understood as the power of thinking, that faculty of thinking has been abducted and imprisoned by greed, avarice. So avarice has become more powerful than the thought process. So here we have to give full marks to Arjuna's understanding of psychology. He says, Duryodhana and Dushasana, all these people, those so-called these Kauravas, are not bad people. They are behaving badly. I have my doubts about Duryodhana, but nonetheless, I don't think he's a bad person. I think he has a personality disorder. But nonetheless, they are not bad people. They are behaving badly because their thinking has been hijacked by greed. This is a very mature statement to make. You see? And he is able to see that his thinking is also hijacked by confusion. And that's why he is not able to understand what to do in this war. His own dharma tells him to fight. Dharma here is not ethical samanya dharma, but swadharma. What he is supposed to do, his duty tells him that he should be fighting. But then, inside his heart there is a tsunami raging about what is correct, what is incorrect. And he says, in their hearts there is no tsunami raging. Why? Because that tsunami which could have raised if the conscience, if dharma had been allowed to have a full say, dharma has been taken prisoner the thinking has been abducted by greed, desire, and all these things. So their thinking is sitting in a cell. It is not available to express itself. So he's still being very generous towards these people who have not been generous towards him. But then here we see a sense of self-censure and self-loath in the parallel verse. Yadyapi etena pashyanti. Even though these people don't see. Who are these people? Those that are abducted by desire. They don't see. Abducted by greed. Their thinking is, imprisoned. They don't see the problems with the, betraying one's friends and also destruction of one's own clan's people. They don't see the problems. But then what? Katham nagneyam asmabhihi. Katham means how on earth. Nagneyam. This is not known. Asmabhihi, by all of us. What are we doing? Are we eating bananas? We know better. What are we doing? We are not sitting here eating bananas, meaning whiling away time. We know better. How come we don't know this? We who have been schooled in the best of the royal gurukulas, where the best of teachers from all over India were brought specially to teach us princes what is correct, what is wrong, what is everything. We were homeschooled by all the gurus, the sages, in all subjects, including dharma. We knew all these things. And then what? And this is how we are behaving. Why should we worry about them? Their thinking has been hijacked by greed. But our thinking hasn't been hijacked by greed. We should know better. Katham nagneyam. How can this not be known by us? What? Asmabhihi, by us. That what is not known by us? What should not be known by us? How can it possibly not be understood by us? What is that? Papad asmat nivartitum. Papad, from this papa, asmat, from this papa, nivartitum, that to beat a retreat from these wrongdoings is the only correct thing to do. How come this is not known by us? We know dharma, we have studied, and you see he is trying to include Krishna. First it was I, now it is all about we. Even though Krishna says this war has nothing to do with me, I am not going to fight. The I has now become what? We. Asmabhihi, by us. Katham nagneyam. How come it is not known? That the only option is Papa dasmat nivartitum. The only option is to retreat from this war, which is to retreat from this wrongdoing, which is this in the form of this war. What are we doing? Are we just so, are we just so blind that we cannot see this? And what is the Papa? Kulakshaya kritam dosham. So the same thing he repeats, that waging war against our own clans people. Because here he is not betraying. You see, he's done this very careful analysis. He is not betraying anyone. He is only, including himself in the first fallacy, which is kulakshaya kritam dosham, which is the destruction of the clan's people. That he is engaging in the war. But he is not betraying anybody. It's an out and out war. Whereas Duryodhana and them, they have engaged in acts of betrayal leading up to the war. And so he for them there are two strikes. He is counting himself as only one fallacy here. And he says prapashyadbhihi asmabhihi, that qualifies asmabhihi, pashyadbhihi, present participle. So pashyadbhihi, by us who are seeing, prapashyadbhihi, by us who are clearly, without any doubt, seeing. Hey Janardana, O destroyer of adharma. See, the Janardana, very interesting name, destroyer of adharma. Ardh, to punish the wrong doers. Yeah. Which janas? The adharmic janas. So this is, and that is your job. That's your portfolio. I am just an ordinary person. You have got all these titles: Keshava, Keshi, demon killer; Madhava, not Madhava, Madhusudana, the killer of Madhu; Kaliya Mardana, and killer of Kaliya; and Kamsa Mardana, Chanura Mardana. You have got these, you have raked up all these names by killing the undesirable people. But here, what are we talking about? We are talking about an important thing. I'm looking at the rhetoric of this war. The ethical rhetoric of this war does not permit this war on any count. First thing is, they are our people. That's why, how can we live joyously when we have the blood of these people on our hands and on our minds and on our conscience? Second argument, yes, granted that they are not able to see that because their buddhi has gone for a hike along with their raga and dvesha. It's not available. But still, what is our buddhi doing? Our buddhi is also not eating bananas. We know very clearly what we should and should not do. And what the only option here is to retreat. Papadasmat nivartitum. Nivartaitum means what? You have to retreat. And it's interesting, nivartitum means in order to retreat, other than to retreat from this papa. And he uses the same word retreat that you use for the war. So he is just substituting papa for war. He is deluding himself, thinking that this war itself is a big papa. So this is his second argument. Now there is a longer argument, a kind of a cascading argument that culminates in huge cacophony and disorder and anarchy at the social level. It's a problematic argument on many counts. You have been forewarned. And let us read. Kulakshaye pranashyanti kuladharma sanatanaha dharme nashte kulam kritsnam adharmo bhibhavatyuta adharma bhibhavat Krishna pradushyanti kulastriyah Strisu dushtasu varshneya Jayate varna sankarah. Yeah, so he's starting all at the top. What did he say? Kulakshaya dosham. Kulakshaya means what? Quick. Destruction of the clan's people and the whole clan as a result, because the clan is made up of people, not just goats and chickens. So, so destruction of the clan means destruction of the people therein. So then he takes on this cascading argument of what all happens when the clan's people are destroyed. Here, clan's people, aka clans men, because when the women go into war, into the battlefield, what happens? No battle happens. So here we are only talking of the conscripted men, correct? So clans people here means when the clans men are destroyed, what happens? So the first argument, part A of the argument number 3. The argument number 3 has many parts. We look at part A in verses 40 and 41. So kulakshaye, when the family or the clans people, clans men are destroyed, pranashyanti. What pranashyanti? Pranashyanti from nash plus pra there for added effect. So, so pranashyanti means what? Are destroyed. What are destroyed? Kula dharmaha sanatanaha. Sanatanaha, age old. Kula dharmaha, family dharma. Yeah, because every family has its own dharma. Even thieves have their own dharma. Yeah. If you go to a thief's family, the thief will also have his own dharma. That is coming from our own ancestry, and we never attack single women, and maybe they have some dharma like that. We never attack women who have children, like this, some dharmas. But here kula dharma means that it is vishesha dharma. Yeah, it is vishesha dharma in the sense that every family has a certain set of what is appropriate cultural mores, is what he is talking about, which are ancient. Sanatanaha means coming from time immemorial, which have been taken, which have been gained by the ancestors, which have been passed on from father to son, mother to daughter, grandmother to grandchild, like this endless ways of being. And so these kula dharmas are very important, because they may not be samanya dharma, they may not have anything to do with what is ultimately correct, absolutely wrong or right. And here this is not about absolutes, but about what is appropriate and inappropriate. It is a spin-off of samanya dharma with reference to time, space, and culture. So therefore there are many interpretations possible. Like even in India we have 4 sutras, dharma shastras. The dharma shastras are based on 4 sutras. Baudhayana, Gautama, Apastamba, like this there are sutras. And each one has a certain set of rules about how people should behave. Yeah. There will be some general agreement about all of them, Like if you see people on the street, who should greet who. This will be a general rule that the younger one, younger either in age or in hierarchy. Younger meaning someone who is a teacher or something like that. A teacher or an elder is greeted first. You don't wait for that person to say hi. That is the whole thing. So that everybody will be agreeing on. But what form this greeting should take, you see, this is what is very, very subjective and based on the time, space bound, culture bound, custom bound, region bound mannerisms. What form this greeting should take will vary. Yeah. Like when you see a king, what should you do? And there also there are variations. Like one sutra says, you accord the same respect that you accord to the current day ambulance or fire engine when you are driving. When you hear the fire engine or ambulance, what do? You make way. You make way and respectfully stand on one side till that has gone. So that is one way of greeting. You have your hands folded, but don't you make way for your own good, because you don't want the elephants and the horses to trample you. So you get on one side when the town crier is coming and saying, here comes the king and queen in their royal palanquins, give them way and look at them from a distance and and greet them. Do abhinandanam. And another tract in this same Dharma Sutra says, in that same situation, do the above, but take your footwear and place it on your head. Small variation. It's not that you are, it's an added extra mark of respect, because the footwear stands for ego, So that's what it is. So then the thing is, it's not that if you don't do this, you are culpable, or, it's just, depending on the place and time, certain things were carved, certain ways of behaving for ease of communication, so that there would be an order in the society, so everybody knew what to do and what not to do. It was a kind of a division of labor, this dharma, and it was also the appropriate mannerisms, Every culture has that. If you went to Victorian England from an Indian village, you would be very out of sorts. Yeah. You wouldn't know what to do, how, and even the Victorians themselves needed schooling. They had to go to, like horses, grooming schools, especially the aristocracy. They didn't know what to do. They had to hire these groomers, or they were sent off to groom finishing schools, meaning you're all raw and jagged and ragged, you need a nice finishing, a polish. You were sent to a finishing school to be able to walk erect with the books on the head, and then, everything that you see in that film. What is that film? My Fair Lady film. Yeah. So the whole socialization has to be like that, So like you see how she was asked to keep a candle in front so that she knows she would also, because she came from a village, she would say the H's in a wrong place. Yeah, and so the candle, if it shook or if it went off, she failed the test. Yeah. So then the candle had to keep burning. British Trataka. British form of Trataka, I suppose. So anyway, so like this, every culture has some rules how to behave, depending upon class, depending upon your own hierarchy in that place, depending upon who you are greeting. And there are so many titles. And then when this child of this Middleton and William was going to be born, what is it going to be called? What titles will it have? Already they are discussing that, the child is still in the womb. They were already discussing what all it will be called. Not just the name. Everybody has one name. I think this child has like 16 names. Yeah. So this is all Kula Dharma. Do you see? Royal Kula Dharma. And so he is referring to these kinds of Kula Dharmas. And they were a huge waste of time, but nonetheless, they had the effect of maintaining a certain order. Yeah. One could say, why go through all this? It seems like a waste of time. From our perspective, it was a royal waste of time. But in that society, in that time and in that place, it had a very centering effect. It had a stabilizing effect because everybody knew what to do when, because it was not some kind of an anarchistic way of anything goes. That is America. That's why they broke away from the British and and had a tea party and established yeah, because they were sick of being told what to do, when to do. This is what happened, and so that's why they broke away. But in most of the ancient cultures, they broke away, which is good. There is independent think, but here people miss a sense of mooring. Nobody has a sense of belonging. Nobody has a sense of that old ancient connection. Oppressive it might have been in certain ways, but that ancient way of connecting to the whole, in the whole here meaning one's own kula, that ancestry, that clans thing, the sense of belonging to a community, a society, a sense of purpose, is not here, because everybody is from somewhere, That's why the site ancestry.com became popular here. Everybody searching for their roots. Yeah. So, but that was not the case in ancient India. It was a very clearly defined dharma whose interpretation, at the level of everyday action might have varied from place to place, time to time. And so that is what is called Kula Dharma, a set of gems that you inherit from your parents and grandparents, which tell you your place in the scheme of things, so you're not lost, which tell you how to go about gaining what you want. All these kinds of wonderful, compendium of the knowledge of dharma in action. And he says, Kulakshaya, when the clansmen are dead, what will happen? Kulakshaye pranashyanti. Also along with that, the dharmas are destroyed. Yeah. Who upholds dharma, men or women? Women. See, without even knowing Hinduism, everyone said women. So what is the connection between the men dying and the dharma going astray? What is the connection? The idea is, even in the ancient times, the women only kept the dharma. But then the idea is that the men protected the women and helped them to keep the dharma. That is the idea. This is giving the two verses benefit of doubt. Yeah. So, so this is what it is. And so you see, so this is the idea. What is the idea? Is that the women will upkeep the dharma in companionship with the men. The women and the men are complementary to one another, and together they make a family. Because, when the men are destroyed, you have a disproportion in the women and men. And there is a role confusion. The women have to be both the mothers and the fathers to the children. And this being the ancient times, the whole idea was that if the women are not protected by the men, there will be some attempts from neighboring kingdoms to colonize. This was a real threat. And women were not going to war. How are they going to defend themselves? So they would be forcibly carried away, Asura-style marriages. And then, they would be carried away to new lands where they would have no chance. They would have new dharma there, or maybe adharma is the law of the land. The law of the land is lawlessness. And they would be carried away by unscrupulous rulers, kings, etc. and become part of some other foreign area, kingdom, where they did not know how to conduct themselves, where they do not know what to do, and they are unprotected. And so what about our Sanatana Dharma? What about our ways, ancient? What about our ways of being, our ways of expression? All this compendium of knowledge that we are having, what about all that? That all gets destroyed because the people who are practicing it are not in a group. You can protect dharma by only protecting the dharmi. Dharma is not a thing to protect. Dharmi is the follower of dharma. You protect dharmi, dharma automatically gets protected. It's like saying, I want to protect the potness, but I'll destroy all the pots. It doesn't work. Yeah. Even though potness is not a property of the pot, but still, that is the paradox. But nonetheless, so you cannot destroy the pot and say, I want to protect the potness. So therefore, like this, here too, this is a very, very important thing, is that if you want to protect dharma, you have to protect the dharmi. And who are the dharminis here? The women are the dharminis. But then if the women's lifestyle is impeached upon and destroyed, then they are unable to protect. If they are under threat by other cultures, that is the idea. That's what he's saying. So if they are under threat, what happens? They are not able to protect dharma. And if they are not able to protect dharma, Kula dharmas all get destroyed. And if Kula dharma gets destroyed, what happens? We'll see tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.